Hey guys, Matt Miller here with PolitiBrawl News. Donald Trump just made history by cursing out a political rival, Pete Buttigieg, who was Biden's former transportation secretary, from the White House press podium during his press briefing today. I don't think any president has ever done this before. Watch it right here.
Diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration. This was before I got to office. Recently, second term, the FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine? These are people that are, actually, their lives are shortened because of the stress that they have. Brilliant people have to be in those positions, and their lives are actually shortened, very substantially shortened because of the stress where you have many, many planes coming into one target, and you need a very special talent and a very special genius to be able to do it. Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism all qualify for the position of a controller of airplanes pouring into our country, pouring into a little spot, a little dot on the map, a little runway. The initiative is part of the FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring plan. Think of that. The initiative is part of the FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring plan, which says diversity is integral to achieving FAA's mission of ensuring safe and efficient travel. I don't think so. I think it's just the opposite. The FAA website shows that the agency's guidance on diversity hiring were last updated on March 23rd of 22. They wanted to make it even more so. And then I came in, and I assume maybe this is the reason. The FAA, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a real winner. That guy's a real winner. Do you know how badly everything's run since he's run this Department of Transportation? He's a disaster. He was a disaster as a mayor. He ran his city into the ground, and he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit. The Department of Transportation is government agency charged with regulating civil aviation. Well, he runs it, 45,000 people, and he's run it right into the ground with his diversity. So I had to say that it's terrible. Then it's a group within the FAA, another story, determined that the workforce was too white, that they had concerted efforts to get the administration to change that and to change it immediately. This was in the Obama administration just prior to my getting there. And we took care of African Americans, Hispanic Americans. We took care of everybody at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It's one of the reasons I won. But they actually came out with a directive, too white. And we want the people that are competent. But now we mourn and we pray and would like to ask all Americans to join me in a moment of silence as we ask God to watch over those who have lost their lives and bring comfort to the loved ones. And I just want to say God bless everyone in this room. This has been a terrible, very short period of time. We'll get to the bottom of it. So we all saw the same thing. We've seen it many times. I've had the honor of hearing tapes. Tapes are scary, very scary tapes.
So for the record, I don't think a single sitting president in history has gotten to the podium in the White House press room and said a curse word like that, or just kind of laid into their political opponents completely unfiltered like we just saw Trump do. So whether it's one of those things. If you like Trump's style, you like the fact that he talks like a normal person, you like the fact that he's completely unfiltered and he's telling you what he really thinks, then you'll love this. If you're the kind of person who thinks that a president should be polished and pre-scripted and very, center of the road and, more reserved, then you're probably turned off by this. And I can kind of get both sides. I personally like a president that is unfiltered, that's going to tell us what he really thinks. And he really thinks that Joe Biden's transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, did a terrible, terrible job leaving the state of the country's infrastructure and transportation in a terrible situation for the Trump administration to take over. And specifically, these DEI or diversity initiatives, that what they did was they put people in positions that weren't the most qualified people for those positions. And that is just a logistical fact when you're prioritizing staffing up based on people's racial demographics or gender identity or gender, whether it's a male or a woman, and you're trying to get more women, you're trying to get more maybe trans people, more people who are disabled, more people who are of non-white ethnic backgrounds. If your priority is getting an even spread of demographics and not the priority of staffing the right people, the most qualified people for these very important positions, air traffic people, pilots, anything like that, then you're going to end up with people who are not the best. It's just a matter of fact. It's logic. You can't have it both ways. It's not a warm and fuzzy and sugar-coated position to have, but I would rather have the most qualified people in those positions of somebody flying a plane. I don't really care what their racial identity is, and a lot of times you don't even see the pilot. So who cares? I don't care if they have other conditions or whatever. DEI is not my concern when I'm on an airplane. And after we saw a tragedy like what happened last night, it even proves the point further that we need people who are competent, who are least likely to make tragic mistakes. And we don't know who was flying the plane. We don't know who was responsible for it. That's all going to be investigated. But what I will say is, if you have a policy that is prioritizing anything but safety and anything but maximum competency when you are filling these roles, then you're missing the boat and you're failing the American people. And that's what Joe Biden's administration did. He failed the American people. Pete Buttigieg, namely, failed the American people because he prioritized the wrong things. And, even when that train disaster happened in East Palestine, how long did it take him to get there? He said that he would arrive when the time was right. The time is right after it happens. You are the transportation secretary. This falls under your purview. You should be the face of the relief effort. You should be on the ground talking to people. What went wrong? Figuring out how this could have been prevented and what you can best do to serve the people there who need your help. But he dragged his feet, and of course that's not what he was caring about the most. He obviously had other things to do, better things to do in his mind. And I just think, again, we saw the Biden administration fail the American people over and over and over again. And it was really a disgrace. So whether Trump said a bad word today in the White House press room, I don't care. If his administration is going to serve the American people first and prioritize safety, competency, and mitigate these sorts of disasters from happening at whatever it costs. That's what America voted for. That's what I want to see in a president's administration, and I think that that's what the American people deserve. So anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this clip in the comments. Do you think Trump crossed the line? Should he not talk like this, or do you guys like to see it? Do you like to actually hear what Trump thinks, completely unfiltered? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Ring the notification bell so you guys get notified when PolitiBrawl News posts new videos. Thank you again for watching and your support, and we'll see you next time.